Hello and welcome to another Skaredcast Battle Report. Today, the Deathwing, the Ravenwing, and the Greenwing will be facing the Drukhari in this 40k bat rep. Let's dive in.
The Dark King.
And here we are on this blasted landscape. We've got the DarkAngel Space Marines against the Drukhari. Let's go over the lists, take a look at the mission, deploy, and roll some dice. Today's mission, we're playing Servo Skulls with Vox Static as a mission special rule and the Dawn of War deployment. And here we have 2,000 points of Drukhari. Now, this is a mixed arms approach. And after playing Necrons for so long, I really needed to just bring a bit of everything and try out a couple of cool concepts. So let's go over it. It is a Drukhari detachment with Drazar and 5 Incubi, 2 units of 5 Mandrakes, my Warlord Homunculus with 5 Racks. He is the Warlord and has the enhancement, the Crucible of Malediction. I've decided to try out a few things with Battle Shock mechanics, so he's pivotal for that as well. As you can see, I have a couple of allies, a Death Jester and a Solitaire, and Lilith Hesbrax, leading unit of 10 Witches. 10 Kabalite Warriors in the army as well. 2 Ravagers with Dark Lances, a Raider, 2 units of 5 Scourge with Dark Lances because they're pretty cool. 3 Reaver Jet Bikes with a Heat Lance, 2 Venoms to split the Kabalites and have a place for the Incubi. 1 Kronos, and to round it off, a Void Raven Bomber with D-Sides. There you have it. The entire army ready to rock and roll. 2,000 points on the nose.
Alright, these are my DarkAngels using the Unforgiven Task Force. I'm leading up with a Terminator in Ancient Armor, leading a nice big brick of 10 Terminators, all WYSIWYG. And then you've got the Terminator Ancient with the enhancement with the special banner. So he's going to give them the 6-up Gunny Pain. Then we've got the Black Knights led by the Chaplain, and he's going to have the Heavenfall Blade. And then we've got an individual Land Speeder, going to rock that until it goes to Legends. And then we've got a squad of 3 Outriders, 1 Attack Bike with Multi-Melter, 1 squad of WYSIWYG Deathwing Terminators, 1 squad of 3 Plasma Inceptors, because DarkAngels, we love the Plasma. Speaking of Plasma, we've got the Redemptor with the Plasma Incinerator, and then the 3 Eradicators, and 1 squad of Infiltrators with a Phobos Librarian.
There you have it. The Sons of the Lion meet the Drukhari in battle.
Wow.
And here we are after deployment. Now with Servo Skulls, we have to kind of get into the middle and push the skulls into the opponent's deployment zone. It's going to be tough with a bunch of Terminators because they're hard to dislodge because they have Invuls.
Tough depends on what side you are.
That is also very true. So I put Mandrakes, little unit of Reaver Jet Bikes, Drazar and his Incubi in that Venom, 5 Kabalite Warriors they split with the other Venom, the Death Jester, Scourge, Ravager, Kronos, Rax, the Solitaire, he's eyeing up that Librarian over there, the other unit of Scourge, 5 more Mandrakes, and the Venom on this side.
As you mentioned, that Librarian with the Phobos unit is up there. They were originally there to try and stop your Mandrakes from getting too close and personal. And then I've got an Attack Bike here, ready to zoom on up. The nice subtle brick in the middle, backed up by the Redemptor and the Black Knight, so you can go one way or the other as goes. And some Outriders in the corner ready to yeet on up and score some secondaries and be a nuisance.
Awesome. In Deep Strike Reserve, I do have Lilith Hesbrax and her Raider filled with Witches. And in Strategic Reserve, I have a Void Raven Bomber.
And on my side, I've got in reserves 3 Eradicators. And in Deep Striking, I've got 3 Inceptors, my Land Speeder, and my Terminators.
Now we're both going for tactical objectives. Let's dive into the game with a roll to go first. Okay. I rolled a 2.
And I rolled a 3.
Okay, it is DarkAngel turn number 1. And here we go. For first turn for the DarkAngels, bring it down and engage on all fronts. All my vehicles are relatively hidden away from danger.
I think they're pretty safe. I mean, I might get a multi-melter shot off on one.
Yep.
Maybe. But
maybe. You never know. That could get you some points. Engage on all fronts. You have to basically come past the halfway line to score some points. Now, because of Vox Static, the New Order stratagem and CP reroll cost 2 command points each. So you do not have enough command points to redraw. So you're stuck with those.
I don't think I'd throw it away anyway.
If anything, you might just get a free command point.
Yeah.
So with that, let's come back after the movement phase. End of the movement phase. What did you end up doing?
I threw my attack back out, auto advancing. He's going to investigate that nuclear waste coming out of the building and
Engage on all fronts.
engage on that front. The Outriders are doing something fairly similar, but instead of advancing, because they can't make the engage, they're going to shoot at some Cablites or maybe the Venom to see how the math pans out. I shifted some Black Knights up and around to kind of support this objective and any movements you make towards that in your first turn. The Redemptor's staying in place because he moves, he'll get shot, and if he can't shoot anything before he gets shot, so he's going to stay still. I've kind of moved back and across my infiltrators that did their jobs to stop any sort of mandrakes shenanigans, and they're now moving back and just making sure that if you came across with your missile,
That's a solitaire, by the way.
the missile, that I've got more things to help deal with him once he comes across. And the Terminators rolled a big 5 on their advance, and they're going to hold this objective and be a pain and take some shots. Nice.
Yeah, that's usually what they do. Okay, so with that, we'll come back after the shooting, and then I don't think there's any charges to be done. So then we'll go to end game scoring, or end turn scoring. You did some shooting with the Outriders,
Yes.
and you killed a couple of Cablites. They were your oath target. So
There are many things to shoot.
I made a couple of saves, so only 2 of them died. With that, you will score 3 points for tactical engage on all fronts on 3 corners.
55 points well spent.
And you are getting rid of Bring It Down because I can hide most of my vehicles and you don't want to get stuck with a card.
I don't think you need to bring those into play early on. 3 points just for the Venom, and I think other secondaries will give me scoring.
Makes
options
sense.
anyway.
So the Mandrakes are going to fade away at the end of your turn.
Bye.
Because if I get some cards that require me to bring them down in shenanigan places, they're very, very good for that. And with that, we go into Drukhari turn, number 1. There you go, the cards just kill things. So 2 points for everything I kill to a maximum of 5 points. And behind enemy lines, good job, I have Mandrakes. Let's do some movement. Essentially, the Mandrakes are probably going to go like in that corner / potentially that corner, maybe both in that corner, we'll see. Then for no prisoners, I think I can kill him. I think I can kill them. And I don't know, maybe we'll send the missile in to try and like kill your ancient or something for a third one. Who knows? But the thing is, if I do, you're going to kill me. Oh, however, before I go, you get to move that objective and this objective wherever you want, because it is 6 inches in any direction. You get to move them. Of course, we don't start scoring them until...
Moving 6 inches this way, because I'm not going to have that for a while. So
there you go.
Make it a nuisance for you. And this one, I can just shuffle a little bit forward.
Yeah, you can shuffle it as close or as far as you want.
Because then that way I can still potentially get it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I move it all the way forwards, I think.
Yeah, there you go. So moving those up, just pushing the servo skulls right into my zone. End of the movement phase for the Drukhari. So, Cabalite warriors have gone to sacrifice themselves dearly to move the objective close to the middle again.
Right.
Then Drazar and his incubi have disembarked from said Venom, moved up. It's a 5-inch charge into the Outriders. This Venom has gotten close by so they can hop back into the Venom in one of 2 instances. They fail their charge, or they charge and successfully kill the Outriders, and then they can hop back in. I've decided to zone out the back of this board corner with the bikes, the Death Jester, 2 Ravagers, my Kronos and the Scourge have kind of moved in. I've got lots of Dark Lances. You've given me 1 target. I'm going to take it. Then I've got the Rax and the Homunculus moving around together with Solitaire to try and take out the bike to then push the objective forward, as well as this Venom dislodging the Cablites that are screening back here now. Even though the Inceptors can come in within 3, I'm just making sure that the Terminators and other reserves don't have free reign of the battlefield. And then Sneaky Mandrakes got into a corner. There you have it, also helping with the Venom to zone out the reserves to past that point there. So with that, the aim is to shoot. I'm going to try and get some paint tokens with the Kronos, humming and bobbing to give it to all of them, shoot into some Terminators, and then essentially do 2 charges, which is 1 there and hopefully 1 there. And we'll come back and see how that works. All of the shooting shot into the Terminators and killed 2. A good armor contempt plus a forest meant that they were basically saving on 3s. Lots of 3-up saves against Dark Lances, but that's what the Terminator squad's supposed to do. The Death Jester did do 2 devastating wounds with precision.
So I popped the
So
Watcher.
4 mortal wounds on the Ancient, forcing you to pop your Watcher.
You don't have any other mortal wounds. I thought.
Very
That's a
few.
good
He's like one of
opportunity
the
to-
only things that does
It's a good
mortals.
opportunity to use.
They can do mortals when they move back and forth and stuff, and that's about it. And other than that, grenade strat and tank shock strat.
4 in 1 turn, by the way.
It's not bad. Yeah, that was lucky. So I did put a wound on the Ancient, killed 2 Terminators. In combat, I've charged in to essentially try and kill that attack bike, and Drazar and his Incubi did make it into combat over there. So that should, if I can kill 2 things, that'll be 2 no prisoner points, plus 5 points for behind enemy lines, which would put me in the lead in terms of points. But in terms of primary, it's going to be really tough because I'll get to move the objectives forward, but it's going to be hard to dislodge the Terminators. That's for sure. So with that, let's go into the charge phase. We'll be right back. End of the fight phase. Drazar, even with an armor contempt, just the Incubi, actually murdered all the Outriders.
That's a terrible roll.
There, you rolled really bad to save. I did move that objective that way, just to stay within 3, but trying to get some distance and try and split up your army as much as possible. The Cavalites did push the objective underneath him. So you can't get wholly within 12 of my deployment zones, so you won't be able to score a full, like any points for that objective. And then they've pushed that objective forward, the Solitaire and the Rax. Just going to probably escort that objective around that side of the board. However, I do score 5 points for behind enemy lines thanks to my sneaky Mandrakes. 4 points for no prisoners because I did kill 2 units. And with that, we're on to Dark Angel turn number 2. You go back up to 3 command points. I go to 3 command points because I haven't used any yet. And this is the turn that you get some reserves as well. Dark Angel turn number 2, Storm Hostile objective, which could be this one, or this one, or this one. And a tempting target, which I'm going to pick to be that one. You try and take that away from my homunculus, and you get 5 points. And with that, it is time for movement. What is your thought process here?
Thought process is this one feels pretty straightforward to get to. I've got my bikes to head towards that way, so I should be able to take that one pretty well. I've got my Eradicators to come on in to potentially deal with this venom. These guys can then murderize whatever's in them, either in combat and with shooting, potentially deal with those guys in the back corner. We'll see what kind of how things map out.
Yep.
I've got my Redemptor to try and maybe put some damage in some of those backlines and maybe give you a different target other than my Terminators who are going to be moving a bit closer, so I feel he's a bit safer to start popping.
Yep.
Down here, we've got these guys in the back corner that are going to be a nuisance. My Infiltrators might have to deal with that direction. I've got my Terminators that might be able to do a deep strike charge and be a pain. I've got Inceptors which might be able to come in and nuke potentially. So we'll see about taking that objective. That's quite an important one. So those are my ideas.
Awesome. And we'll be back.
All right. So we have moved our brick up a little further. The aim here is I've kind of tried to move around them as best as possible because he's really good at trying to move blocks them so they couldn't go too far, but they're going to get as much springboard as they can. Then over here, I brought my Infiltrators back and across to try and deal with some of these Mandrakes. Probably shoot the ones at the back, charge the close ones. Let's see how that one goes. Then over onto the right-hand side, we've moved our Black Knights up just outside of inch of this venom, and we've brought some Eradicators and a Landspeeder in and around the same area. The Landspeeder is mainly to keep your Raider that was in Deep Strike away from my backlines, because having all that AC coming into my backlines is not so great. Plus he'll have some shots into the venom. Eradicators are here to help deal with this venom, so these guys can get to the gooey innards, or potentially deal with these Reavers at the back, depending on how well it goes. The Redemptor is going to be shooting some of its big shots towards the back, and some of the smaller stuff towards some of the Incubi that are coming out through the middle. And this is where I spent most of my time thinking. I kind of need to take this back from my secondary, so the Inceptors are the best way to do so, to at least guarantee it. And I've also brought my Terminators in support. I need to make sure I clear enough OC so I take the point, but also deal with the Missile Incarnate that's in there that will melee to death anything I miss. So.
There you go. I love it. With that, let's come back after the shooting phase. I did use one command point to rapid ingress. Lilith and her Blood Brides, they can go that way to deal with some Knights, or they can go that way to deal with some Deathwing Terminators. So we'll see what happens, but I was just made sure I'm outside of 12, so you can't declare that Raider as a charge target. And yeah, and then next turn, they'll be able to get out, move, advance, do stuff, and participate in the game. End of the shooting phase. A lot of stuff happened. Some things went your way, some things did not.
Yes, that is true.
Okay, so how did this turn out for you?
Yes, I call this a turn of almosts. So we managed to remove the venom very quickly between the Landspeeder and Eradicators. Big tick in the box. Then these guys split their fire. I took out 2 Reavers. Should have put more shots into there and did 2 damage into the Raider. Lessons learned there. I just managed to take out a couple of Incubi as well, which is nice. That was more of a bonus. I feel I can get those in combat. The Redemptor, on the other hand, tried to shoot down some of these front mandrakes.
And did nothing.
Failed with all his mini shots. His big shot shot the back raider and did just the 3 damage after getting
the
7 shots.
Yes.
Ravager. 7 full shots, but then missed many, so swings and roundabouts. Then the Terminators all shot into your big thick guys.
The Rex, yeah. They were the Oath target, which is what this is. And they just absolutely walloped that unit and almost killed the Homunculus as well.
Yes, they did very well. They're very happy with them. Then I had a choice with the Inceptors about split firing. I decided, no, I'm going to go fully into that Solitaire. I did 3 damage with the overcharges. Speaking of which, I owe you some hazardous tests.
Yes, they're fine.
Okay.
I did use a command point reroll, which is actually 2 command points for Vox Statics.
Oh,
so that means I will have 0 command points to keep the Solitaire alive. But that means the Solitaire is alive.
So, which is scary.
Yes.
Absolutely terrifying.
That's good. Especially the Inceptors. They're great to take out lone ops. They can come in and just get really close in.
Do.
So with that, we're into the charge phase. We'll come back after that. And then we'll see kind of like how you score your points. And then my next turn will be very important. I've got Lilith on the board. My bomber will be coming in. And I'll see if I can do enough damage to sort of like hold the skulls from getting too close to my zone before you get away with the score.
Yes.
There we go. End of the charge phase. You were able to charge the Homunculus and then pile in and attack the Solitaire. I failed 2 saves from the Power Fist, and that killed my Solitaire. So that wasn't really too good. That objective has moved up this way. You charged in and killed the 1 unit of Mandrakes. The other one has gone back into the shadows. They charged and killed 3 Cabalites, moved the objective forward. They charged into the Incubi, and then combined, killed the 3 Incubi, put 2 wounds on Drazar, and then Drazar
Bonk the chaplain.
That's right. Viciously executed your chaplain, which was awesome, giving me some more command points. You are battle shocked here, though, which made that your chaplain was even better. Everybody's battle shocked over here. Although Drazar will not be battle shocked at the start of my turn.
Yes.
However, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for primary, and you got Storm Hostile Objective and a Tempting Target, which means that's 10. That's a 16-point turn as we move into my turn. Number 2. How are you feeling after that?
Lots of points, which is nice. I think there are things I could have done better in that turn to make it a bit more efficient, but it went both ways for us, right? So
it was good. Actually, I got lucky over here. Yeah. You got lucky killing the Solitaire.
That's exactly it.
So it kind of flipped and flopped. So and you got lucky killing those Mandrakes. I was hoping for another one to survive there. But okay.
Good on the board, but I think you've got lots of tools to keep scoring points.
Yeah, that's what Dark Eldar do. I think, and I still have the core of my shooting, so we'll see what my shooting can do. This flank is really starting to be an issue for me, so I'm going to have to try and like probably push up that way. That might determine where I bring in my Void Raven Bomber. And with that, let's dive into Drukhari turn number 2. What did I take? Capture enemy outpost and extend battle lines. So hold this plus 1 of the 3 objectives in No Man's Land for extend battle lines, and try and take that objective away from the DarkAngels. Will that be possible? We shall see. Let's go into the movement. I've got my Firebase. I have to really kill this. I think that's key. Eliminate this, pin this. So Lilith and the Blood Brides are probably going to get out and start tasseling over here together with the Death Jester. Drazar is probably just going to start fighting over here. We'll see what they can do. I feel like now without the chaplain, it's going to be easier for him to survive over there, but they are AP2, which is really good. However, I might need to try and put something else there to make sure I can push that objective back to get some points. So let's see what we can do after this. End of the movement phase. I have a couple of different things going on. So the Raider moved up to just tie up the Black Knights if possible, even though there's command points to fall back, shoot and stuff. They are battle shocked. So these right now, they're only 1 OC thanks to Dark Angel detachment. Lilith and the witches have moved up. The bike did a mortal that was saved into them, but also has a heat lance as well. We've got a Ravager. We've got the Scourge. We've got another Ravager. We got a Venom filled with stuff. And essentially, we're going to try and do... That's right. We're going to try and do as much damage as possible as we move into this turn. The big combat is going to be this one here. See what happens with Lilith and the witches into the Terminators. I'm really curious to see how that will go. So with that, going to do some shooting. We'll come back and give you an update. But this turn needs to go well. It's the go turn. If it doesn't, then because of the objective, the Dark Angel is going to push the objectives further into my zone, making it nigh impossible for me to score points. So with that, let's dive into the shooting phase. I had also forgotten to say my Void Raven Bomber comes in, which it does.
It's hard to miss.
It was, hard to miss. Now, I was able to shoot. I was able to kill those Terminators and kill 2 Inceptors. That was big. You did shoot back at my Scourge and killed 3 of them, but I am in range to push the objective back to at least get some points, which will be good. I wasn't able to do anything on this flank, really. Hopefully, I'm just fingers crossing that Drazar survives the combat. I'm going to charge him with a Raider and just try and tie up a few things and just be annoying. And then over here, I was able to kill 1 Terminator, put 2 wounds, 1 wound on another, 2 wounds on another, put another wound on the Ancient with the Death Jester. And now, we're just going to try and get in. That 6-up Feel No Pain, though, has come in really well. Very handy. And I was able to kill the Redemptor Dreadnought. That was 7 Dark Lances.
It was my first time playing it.
That's right.
He's my prettiest model.
That's how he has to die.
He did nothing.
He has to die. That's how that works. Mandrake did come in the corner there as well. Now, the little Venom with all the Kabalites shooting, I love that unit. Lots and lots of guns. That's really fun. It's like surprisingly strong. Like the little Venom full of stuff. It as well. It's a very effective little unit. Especially, and the Chronos went off with pain tokens. I started with 5, and I ended up pain tokening 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different units.
That was wild.
It was great. And I still have 3 pain tokens left. Oh yes, the pain token train begins. So let's do some charges. I'm going to charge into here, going to charge in. Lilith is probably just going to pop off, and I'm going to try and kill the characters, and we'll see what we can do there. And okay. So with that, it is time to do the charges. End of the fight phase. Well, I did charge this Venom here just to tie that guy down. I was able to control that objective to get my extend battle lines, which will give me 5 points. However, all the witches died to a bunch of devastating wounds from Thunderhammers. And Drazar died to a very good roll from the Corvus Black Knights. Yeah, they rolled which means because they're battle shocked and they're still OC1, they were able to move this objective closer. That objective moves closer. So now there's 2 objectives that are just coming right my way, and 1 that I have general control over. But that doesn't bode well for the Drukhari. However, I do get 5 points for extend battle lines. I'm going to keep capture enemy outpost, because that's 8 points, and I might need that. Yes. As we move in to battle round number 3. Cards for the Dark Angels turn number 3. We have extend battle lines and capture enemy outpost. Spending 2 command points for new orders, because you got investigate signals and you didn't want to go into the corners. You want to protect. I need to protect this because you've got the secondary 8 points, and likewise I need to actually start doing things. Yep, makes sense. So you've oathed that Ravager, and you've got them that can fall back, potentially shoot and charge. You got them that are stuck in combat here, but they're going to get help from the Eradicators, and you got him as well. So with that, let's go into turn number 3 for the Dark Angels. All right, so moving's now done. I'm moving the Infiltrators up and across. They've got a 9-inch charge to the Venom, and they're kind of screening out a bit more of this area, but not really much to be played for. It looks like you can get to this objective almost any which way, but I needed to hold this objective for the extend battle lines secondary, so I moved my land speeder across to it. It doesn't have any targets. I didn't advance it. But it just can't shoot anything. I was like half an inch away from getting Lilith. I've moved my Eradicators up. They have line of sight onto Lilith because she is quite scary. I think my Black Knights can deal with that with the anti-vehicle 4+. So let's see how that one pans out. These guys are going to fall back, shoot and charge. Hopefully get rid of the Reaver and charge into the Death Jester and hopefully tie up and be. We'll see what happens with that. It'll be very interesting. So let's dive into the shooting phase. We're both running out of stuff here. So yes. However, the Servo Skulls very much in control of the Space Marines. Yes. End of the turn. So Lilith survived 2 melt guns to the face. with 1 wound.
Like a champion she
which was
is.
awesome. They killed the raider, no problem, pushed the objective forward, holding my deployment zone now, so that's just 8 points. Then over here, they fell back, charged, were only able to kill the Death Jester, but have tied up my Ravager and 1 unit of Scourge, and took no damage in return, but successfully captured the enemy outpost,
job, so well done to you.
which is really good. Over here, you also pushed this one back, because you were able to kill the Venom, and they exploded, and they got out, so they were battle shocked, but failed that charge there. So that's another 12 points on primary, 8 points for that, and 5 points for extend battle lines. Really bringing in a lot of points for the DarkAngels. So as we move into the bottom of turn number 3, the Dark Elves are going to have to do something. I still have capture enemy outpost, and my next card is going to be assassination, trying to kill an enemy character. It'd be nice to have my solitaire for that right now. Yes. Well, let's see what we can do as we move into the turn, and I go up to 2 command points. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. I moved Lilith up. You did Overwatch with your last command point, killed her. You did lose a bike, 2 hazardous, which is fine. That you need to keep the Eradicators alive, because if not, I would have probably killed a whole other tool.
Yes,
that you had.
I'm running out of stuff.
The Ravager did move back. I'm going to push the objective forward. I did just fall back as well. These Scourge fell back. This advanced to get into the middle of the board. That moved up, and I'm going to use a Fire and Fade to get onto the objective to take capture enemy outpost. I was able to kind of move Dark Lances and stuff around. I'm holding that objective to push it up. I need to kill him, and then hopefully that's my assassination target. So hopefully I can kill him, which will give me assassinate, and then I can start pushing some of these objectives forward as well. So, we've got some spicy tamales. This game is not over yet. End of the turn. So I was able to push that objective up this way. I was able to hold this objective and push it up that way. I killed the librarian. My bomb did 6 mortal wounds, and then I just nuked it with the Void Raven bomber. This Ravager killed a little land speeder, and then I killed a Terminator with some Dark Lance fire. Not bad. I got 3 pain tokens because I had 0 at the start of the turn. However, secondary wise, I only get 2 points for that one, none for that one, none for this one. You even get to push this even further this way if you just want to prevent me from getting that. So you have 18 primary points. I'm currently sitting at 4 primary points.
And secondaries are pretty even.
It's secondaries. 1, right? I'm up by 1. So this is the thing. If I hold that one, I will be able to move it at the end of this turn, and I'll get, and then I'll be able to move it into your deployment zone. So that would be 8 points by the end of your turn. So 8 points on my turn 4, and 8 points on my turn 5. So that's 16 points for that one right there. If I don't hold this one, or if I can continue to hold this one, which is going to be hard because you got Eradicators, bikes,
I'm pretty sure I can get
and Terminators to just take it away and bring it back this way.
If I just do it once, then you have to do it twice.
Correct.
To get it back.
So that one's pretty much worth nothing. So at most, I'm going to be getting like 16 secondary points, primary points, which means it is time for a gambit. So I will attempt a gambit, and you did sadly pull out Orbital Strike, which is the easiest, which the next easiest one to do is Emergency Evacuation. I currently have 8 units in my army. So my evacuation number is going to be 4 because that's the minimum, right? So you halve it. So I'm going to have to roll 4 4+ at the end of the game, and I have to get units entirely within 6 inches of the center of the battlefield. You have your Terminators, your bikes, and your Eradicators to stop me from doing that.
Kill as many things as I can, as quickly as I can.
That means I don't have to worry about the servo skulls anymore. You do, though, to get your points. Yes. And if I successfully do it, 30 points. So let's see what I can do as we move in to battle round number 4. You have area denial, so stop me from being in the middle of the board and behind enemy lines. So you've got your bikes, your Terminators that could potentially do that as well. However, you probably want to try to get into the middle of the Terminators, which does make sense. And with that, okay, awesome. Let's go into the movement phase and see what the DarkAngels do.
Okay, we have now moved. We've just advanced the Eradicators up behind this cover as best as they can. I roll a 4 on the advance. They're going to try and shoot anything that goes near the middle towards the end based on your gambit. Then we've got the Terminators moving up 5 inches. They're going to try and charge this, take this objective back, and start shoving it back that way. Then we've moved these guys to behind the lines, and they're just going to shoot into your...
The Oathed Ravager. Awesome. Exactly. You do owe me a battle shock test too, actually. Because they did lose an extra Terminator. They're okay with a
They're
7.
alright.
Okay, so at the end, you did kill my Ravager that blew up, put a wound on a Terminator, and then one of the bikers just exploded himself with hazardous.
As they do.
3 points for behind enemy lines. You do get 5 for area denial by killing my Kronos. Failed
Yes.
every save and feel no pain. Kronos
Yep.
just died. That successfully gave you area denial behind enemy lines. So you are very up there now in the secondary game as well, with one
Doing
more
what I
turn
can.
to go. That's going to be interesting.
Now
So
it's
now-
your time to peel me off.
Well, now we'll see. I have 2 turns. I have one
Yes.
turn to maneuver and then another turn to try get the emergency evacuation. So let's see what we can pull off. My Mandrake will, of course, go back into the shadows as we go into turn number 4 for the Drukhari. Okay, so here we are, attempting target and cleanse. I did use 2 command points to get rid of bring it down because there was no vehicles to kill, sadly. So you picked that one for tempting target because this one is no longer in no man's land.
Correct.
These Scourge are in a good spot where they can move, shoot, and then move onto it to hold it, which will be great. Then I can chuck it backwards, which will be
Into
fine.
the Terminator.
And yeah, we'll see what happens. I did get cleanse, so I might be able to do at least 1 cleanse over here. But with that, I'm going to basically put a big ring around the center, position myself to be able to get into the center at the end of the game.
And that death ring.
And then we'll see, what happens, because it is the Terminators are precariously in our evacuation coordinates location. So let's see what we can do. You must arrive within those coordinates to be evacuated. As you can see, I put a nice little ring just to make sure I know where I need to go. I put my Mandrake ready to just move up. I put my Cabalites ready to move up, but they're going to do a bomb. I need to try and kill as much as I can here. I need to try and kill them too. And I've essentially got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units that are ready to kind of jump in and do this. So hopefully, let's see what happens. I'm like,
tin hats on for me.
oh, this is really cool. Now I am going for a cleanse, which I need to do on an object. Actually, then in this case, he would have to go back here because he'll get me my cleanse points, and then he can move, shoot, / do stuff. So he's going to do a cleanse. I'm going to hold this objective for attempting target. So that'll be 5 and push it up a little bit further. Excellent. Looking forward to it. Let's see what we can do. Shooting time. It went quite well. As you can see, I killed the Terminator with the last shots from the Ravager. The Void Raven, all the other launch shots killed and put 2 wounds on him. And then they split, and then the Ravager killed.
I did use a reroll and Armor of Contempt to try and keep
You
him
did.
alive. Actually, that reroll would have meant that
he would have dead. He would be dead. So I would have killed all of them. I got 2 more pain tokens. I will successfully gain 5 points for tempting target and 3 points for cleanse because I'm doing it in tactical missions. As we go into the last turn, turn number 5. This is a nail biter.
Anything can happen.
So anything can happen. You get 1 command point. I get 1 command point. And yeah, just pull your cards and see what happens. Everybody's watching already.
Secure no man's land, assassination.
Cool. So kill a character, which I don't have any. That's just going to give you 5 points because I don't have any characters.
Okay.
And secure no man's land, you have to hold 2 or more objectives in no man's land, which is that one.
That's going to be tough.
And this one. If you just hold 1, though, you get 2 points instead. So you could get 2.
I can't throw it away. I haven't got the command points.
There you go. So with that, turn number 5 for the DarkAngels. We're at the end here, moved up to make sure you hold at least 1 objective in no man's land.
Yeah.
Your Eradicators are going to try and kill the Bomber, which is in Oath target now. And you're trying to do a long bomb charge on that Cavalite squad.
That's correct.
Excellent. So we'll come back after shooting and see what happens. Shooting did 3 wounds to the Void Raven. They rolled terrible for damage.
Yeah.
They had to charge in because they didn't kill the Oath. They moved the Oath target to the Scourge. So because they had reroll hits and wounds there, so that it was relevant. Charging into here, trying to kill them. And then over here, made an 8-inch charge to try and get into these Cavalites.
Some devastating wounds. Appreciate
Okay,
that.
let's see what happens. End of the turn. You were able to kill the 2 Scourge and get onto that objective, which then, of course, you can push forward. You don't get it wholly within 6, but you get 2 points for that, 8 points for that. So that's another 10 points on your primary. Awesome. I get that one there, which doesn't matter. Yep. And you do get 2 points for secure and 5 points for assassination as we move into round number 5 for the Drukhari. So as the battle stands, I got area denial for my secondary and overwhelming force. That's killing them for 3 points, and getting a unit wholly within 6 inches of the center of the table to get 5 points, and having you're not wholly within 6. So that's a 5 for me. So as it stands right now, before I start my turn, I have 35 secondary points. You have 37 secondary points. You have 42 primary?
40. Count that in a second. 10, 20, 22, 34, 40, 41.
41 points. I have 4 points for secondaries, primaries right now. If I successfully complete my gambit, I will have 34 points. Plus these 8 points, I will have, let me get the totals. As it stands right now, without the gambit and without these, I'm 39 points away, which means with 8 and a gambit, there will be a 1 point difference. Does that mean I'm going to stop? No, I just came back for the WTC, and the differential means I would turn that into a tie. So I'm going to go, I'm going to try and evacuate. Let's see what we can do as we move in to the end of the game. And here we are after the moon phase. You did use your command point to overwatch them just to try and stop me from being able to get sneaky, 4 models in there. They fell back, so they're going to get within the evacuation zone. That moved up to get into the evacuation zone. The Mandrake moved up, and then I have enough CP to fire and fade him to get within the evacuation zone. They're going to shoot and then get into the evacuation zone. So I have 4 units in the evacuation zone. I'm going to have to roll 4 4-ups to do my gambit. Awesome. Let's do this. But first I have to try and shoot this thing.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, let's try and just kill it. I have 2 pain tokens. I'm going to give a pain token to the Ravager. I'm going to have a pain token to the MVP of the match, which has been this Void Raven Bomber. He's just been killing everything.
He started over there.
He did. He's just doing a loopy-loop. Yeah, sadly, I didn't angle it enough to potentially go into the middle if I needed it, because you can roll him for evacuation, which would have been really useful. Okay, let's do some shooting. Well, Void Raven Bomber had to dump all of his shots to kill the last bike, because that's 3 points, so I got overwhelming force. I'm going to get area denied. And now I have 4 units ready for evacuation. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. Do the Scourge evacuate successfully? They do.
They did. Scourge gone. They flew up into the...
Do the Cabalite Warriors evacuate successfully? They don't, and that will be a failed evacuation. So that will be a victory with the DarkAngels. I needed like 1 or 2 more things to help me fail a few. But that was really fun. I will fall short by 31 points.
Got to see the gambit down. That's the best decision as well. So
I wasn't really going to do much with the primaries at that point, especially when you killed Drazar and that flipped, and then you killed all the witches. Although I made a mistake, and I thought Thunderhammers were 3 damage. Apparently they're 2 damage. So Devastating Wounds would have been 2, which made me sad, because I pulled a lot more witches than I should have, which would have probably helped me keep that objective, and that was 1 extra turn of it not going this way. But that's okay. I learned lots. Also, having a witch alive when you fall back means you have to take desperate escape tests, which would have killed just Terminators, and they wouldn't have been able to come back here and do that. So there was a method behind my madness. On that, thanks a lot for tuning in. Maxine, why don't you tell them a little about your YouTube channel? Instagram page, yes.
Maxine also plays 40k on Instagram. I'm Katie Plays 40k's fiance. And I post strategy stuff, Dark Angel stuff, anything 40k. I'm usually posting things. So
I love it. It's really, really cool. It looks awesome. I'll put a link in the description down below. Huge shout out to all of you for watching. Make sure you check out the Patreon page. The link is down in the description. That goes a long way to help me create content. Leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. The Dark Kin.